We have a very, very time-sensitive challenge to do what we can as citizens to do something about the direction of our energy policy and the direction of what's happening with climate change. So if we can take that seriously as a city, we show example and initiative to others, and we can move people, communities, organizations, stakeholders in a productive and efficient way forward, and not continue to do the same things, make the same mistakes, do the same policies poorly.
Well, I think on a kind of very basic level, it's environmental sustainability, it's economic sustainability, cultural sustainability, and social sustainability. So our key driver is making sure that we're making the most of our urban context here. So we're an urban university in a great city, and we want to make sure that we're responsive and reflective of that in all of the programs that we design.
So the kids are the next generation, and that is really who sustainability is for. So if they're not trained to be leaders or trained with better healthy and sustainable habits, then we don't have much of a future, as good as we as adults might be able to do. So yeah, I think some of the biggest community change has to happen in our schools at all levels. So a few examples would be to work closer with dining halls and cafeterias in the schools. Those policies need to change, and also the people need to change, and not just try to cut costs or not just try to go with business as usual.
Moving towards a low-carbon economy so that we can leverage the fact that we live in this time where we have the privilege of scientific information and also need that scientific information in a way that we've really never needed it before, because most of human history we've been able to rely on our past experience as a guide for the future, and those days we don't have that luxury anymore.
So even if you got rid of all the trappings of civilization and were sort of out on the streets, you would still have a significant carbon footprint. And the way to solve that is actually to work collectively in groups. So you should join together with other folks, and the things that we can do as in a group will make a much bigger difference, so we can get legislation passed.
We need to be very proactive about moving in a direction quickly. So I'm very excited about what we've done so far, but I think I'm more interested and challenged in what we can do moving out into the future.
Yeah, recycling is unfortunately more complicated than we've had in the past. In the past, you put it out in your curbside bin and it got picked up and it got processed. Now with automated and single stream and larger bins, folks make the assumption that I can recycle this, and we call it wishful or hopeful recycling. A pillow, a dog bed, garden hoses, stuff that you don't want anymore, why does somebody else want? And it's not recycling. In the case of wishful recycling, we always talk about in the industry, recycle your light bulb, recycle your batteries, recycle your appliances, recycle. And because it's recycle, 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 the residents think it goes into the curbside cart. And this is going to be a tangler, this is going to be something that gets stuck and jammed in the equipment, and all of this is going to be residue that we pay, basically we pay triple damages for. So no electronics, no cords, no Christmas lights, no garden hoses. This cart also will be rejected. Recycling is part of the hierarchy: reduce, reuse, recycle. So we're actually 3 steps down where we should be dealing with trash higher up in the hierarchy. So it's got to be newspaper and magazines and junk mail, stuff like cardboard. Pizza box is fine, but no pizza. Styrofoam is not ideal. It unfortunately does have a recycling triangle on it. That's a resin code. It tells the manufacturer what it's all about. It's not necessarily to say it's acceptable in the city of Lowell. So no styrofoam. And you don't throw away your yard waste, right? That's a recyclable or compostable component. We want to collect that curbside. That's why the city provides 3 streams: trash container, recycling container, and weekly yard waste, so you can move those things out of the trash. We want to reduce the trash, but also increase the quality of the recycling. This would probably go through. This is not going to end recycling as we know it. If we're talking strict and pure and ideal, this would not be in the recycling. But this is the least of their problems right now. When we get to recycling 202 or even better, then we're going to make sure that these have to be clean. Anything that had food in it becomes part of the 25% contamination, becomes part of the residue, and so we're really being cautious about anything with food in it should be preferred in the trash. I always call dumpsters attractive nuisances because people drive around with stuff in a pickup truck and they're just looking for a convenient place to, skirt the rules, skirt the costs, and dump it somewhere else. And we even have it curbside, where folks will drive down the street and deliver their bags across half of the street to this residence. So this serial number is specific to this address. So when we key it into the system, we'll know who, by address, the participant is on this. And you're right, if you're in a larger building with 20 condos using one dumpster, you really don't know who to run after. So keeping the serial numbers at the assigned property is really important because there's 25,000 of these. We're managing inventory, but we're also managing tracking by property. So again, it's a sample of, can this be recycled somewhere? Maybe, and we're going to put it in the recycling and be hopeful that nobody sees it and that it's going to go to the recycling plant. So we want to keep out all of those categories. You can imagine that the wood and the clothing and the metal rack will just gum up the works. They have to stop the equipment. That's expensive. There's 25 people on every shift waiting for the stuff to come by them. And if you stop it, then you have 25 employees who are on the clock and waiting. And it's hazardous too. This stuff goes by pretty quickly. They got to reach out with their hands and grab it. So these two carts will definitely be stickered and rejected. And this one had the most egregious contamination. So we will issue a citation for this one. And so we have improper disposal of recyclables, and primarily that's the issue with so much contamination. The ordinance stipulates what list of items are acceptable. Paper, tin, aluminum, yard waste is not acceptable in recycling, so this would be improper disposal of recycling, and it's maybe the technical term for contamination. So these tickets are for $25, and we're usually nice, it's one per address and not necessarily one per container, but all 3 containers will be rejected and left at the curb with this citation. And that's the issue with this large cart, is that you have 96 gallons of material you can put out on the sidewalk every other week. And really, when you put it out on your collection day and the lid is closed, your neighbors don't see it, the enforcer doesn't see it, the driver doesn't see it, it tips into the truck and it moves on to Billerica. It's not until it arrives in their equipment that you can see what is in there. So unfortunately, we are now opening lids. It may be nice and neat lined up on the curb, but we are opening lids and we are rejecting material. We are issuing warnings, we are issuing tickets because we can't be blind to it anymore. We can move the dial by 10 or 15%. Right now the contamination is between 25 and 35%. If we drop that to below 20%, that's almost $200,000 in fees that we'll be saving. If we can reduce the contamination, and that's part of our job, the next coming months, is to do mailings, is to do outreach and education, is to do curbside enforcement, and yes, we're issuing tickets, and hopefully people will learn and will reduce the contamination from 25 to 15. Not that that's acceptable, but it will be affordable. What are the top 10 things that are your problems? Plastic bags, plastic bags, plastic bags, plastic bags. That is probably the biggest issue. The City Council did adopt an ordinance for reducing plastic bags. That will go into effect on January 1st of 2019. So we still have 5 months to reach out to folks and let them know that they should bring their own reusable bags. Because let's say you hang a bag on your doorknob and you collect your cat food cans all week. When recycling comes around, you tie the bag up, you put it in the recycling. Now it goes to the plant. It's just going to tumble through the equipment and go out the backside as residue. Nobody's going to open the bag. Nobody's going to pour out the water bottles, the cat food cans. It's going to go out as trash. So plastic bags, either full of stuff, full of recyclables, full of trash, full of paper, whatever it was, plastic bags are not allowed in the processing plant. Either empty or full. The empty ones just tumble through the equipment and snare in the sorting, and then it will seize the assembly line an hour every day. They have to close down the plant and climb into the equipment, lock out, tag out, and cut it with box cutters to get out Christmas lights, garden hoses, chains, USB cords, plastic bags, dry cleaner bags. So we want to keep out anything that tangles in the equipment. Don't put them in your recycling. Even they thought this was all recyclable, and maybe the bag is marked recyclable. All of the contents are recyclable, but nobody's going to open this knot. Nobody's going to unpackage this. This is going to pass through the equipment and become residue, and all your work of trying to prepare it is just going to go in the trash. This is also film. It is marked for recycling, but not curbside. Many stores, Staples, Kohl's, Anton's, Hannaford, Market Basket, will take this type of film plastic, and they'll take it whether it's this brand or this brand, and it does get recycled through a plastic specialty, not in the curbside. So no plastic bags, not full, not empty, no plastic bags. Straws, anything smaller than 2 inches is going to roll through their equipment and fall through the grates, and it doesn't go out at the end. So no straws, no plastic bags. The takeout cup is acceptable, but no ice, no coffee, no slushy. What happens is, imagine, you're done drinking it, it melts, it goes warm, you don't want to finish your iced coffee, you put it in the recycling, someplace it's going to pour out. Then it gets onto the paper and the cardboard, and it just gums up all of the work. So you want to make sure everything's empty. I'm not saying dishwasher clean, but drip, drip, put the cap back on it and put it in the recycling. We don't want to contaminate the other components just because we're lazy. And recycling is important because they can make new products of that material. And if you send them medical sharps and you send them diapers and you send them, then they can't make new stuff out of it. And even worse, now you're contaminating the stuff that could possibly be good. So it's important that we stick to 4 categories: tin and aluminum, paper, glass, and plastic. Nothing outside of those 4 categories. The trucks from Billerica and the trucks from Chelmsford and the trucks from Burlington all arrive at the same plant. So if Lowell's stuff is contaminated, it gets poured on the same tipping floor. So this is a case of one bad apple ruining not just our stuff, but everybody's stuff that's coming in. The issue we're having is right now the recycling sorting facility that's receiving 7,000 tons a year from residents. It's a curbside mix, single stream, comes to Billerica, and they've been finding that 25% of that 7,000 is contamination. The stuff we've been talking about, clothing that's tattered and torn, the food, the styrofoam takeout with the pad thai dinner still in it. We don't want that stuff, and then it goes out the back end as trash, and we get billed triple damages. Last month's bill was about $15,000. Just for what we call residue, or the stuff that passes through. And that's going to add up. We're looking at maybe $500,000 more for next year's processing because of the continued contamination. So it's a big job. Every day, 5,000 of them are putting out trash and recycling. 5,000 wheel carts a day we have to make sure are clean and acceptable. 500,000 isn't necessarily a fine. They're anticipating that to clean the 7,000 tons, they're already guessing that it's going to be $500,000. So if we can do that ourselves, then we're going to save maybe half of that in penalties, in residue, in cleanup charges. So it is really incumbent on us and residents to get the message and do it right. For most large municipalities, the largest carbon emission is through their waste collection contract. The fleet of having Waste Management has 14 big diesel trucks in the city every single day. So if we're talking about what Lowell's contributing, a good portion of that is from the collection of trash, recycling, and yard waste. We had a waste audit recently. The trash truck picked up 500 trash containers, and right behind it, 500 from the same homes, 500 recycling carts. And then they went to Bill Ricker to the sorting facility and dumped them both out. And it turns out that 25% of the trash is still recyclable. Bottles and cans, tin and aluminum, cardboard, and 25% of the recycling should be in the trash. So it's just a little bit of education to put it in the right container, and it will make all the difference. Yes, we would like to take the 25% of recycling out of the trash, but right now we're paying penalties. We're paying for the disposal of that 25%. We're paying tonnage at the incinerator. There's no issues there. But it's the 25% that's contaminants that's ruining the equipment. It's ruining the finished product. It's ruining. So that's the big thing about contamination. And at the end, we get billed for the residue. So contamination is working on multiple sides. So right now, we're just finishing up a 5-year contract, and in year 5, it's $5.5 million to collect and transport and dispose of the 3 categories: trash, recycling, and yard waste. And then you add the $500,000 to maybe almost $1 million more next year. So we'll be looking at $6 to $6.5 million, and that's money from public safety. It's money from education. So, we want to be conscious about the expense. We want to be conscious, have folks put it in the right container that's going to manage the cost. And a lot of people call the recycling office, tree huggers, and it's not about the trees. We're not sad when one gets cut down, as a side issue. But the fact that you have 2 containers, you can put it in the trash, and it's going to cost $80 a ton for the newspaper, for the box, or for paper, or put it into the recycling where it costs $20 a ton. So it's a cost issue which container you put it into. And yes, the paper becomes new paper and you have to cut down less trees. But the benefit is you put it in the expensive container and it goes over the scale, and we're going to pay $80 a ton for that same stuff. And it's whether it's paper or yard waste, we want to keep those things out of the trash and put them into the less expensive categories. And what I didn't realize until recently is that every trash truck that we fill up goes to North Andover to dump at the incinerator is $900. Every truck goes over the scale is about $850, $950, and there are 5 of them that fill up every day. So 5 times 900 times 5 days, it's really expensive. I'll let you do the math. Trash unfortunately has a cost. We don't put it all on the residents. The city does absorb almost 2/3 of the cost is paid out of the general fund. So right now in our society, electronic waste is almost the fastest growing component. I mean, do you still have a tube TV in the house, or have you already moved over to flat screens and then HD and then smart TVs? Everybody wants the newest, everybody wants the latest, and then we have to go to get new resources to make new electronics. So it's very important, and lots of manufacturers are collecting their TVs, and a lot of stores. Best Buy will take back those electronics, most of them for free, some for a cost. Staples will take back any office supplies for free, any office electronics for free. So there are places that are doing the right thing. If you visit our website, lowellrecycle.org, you'll see a list under bulky item pickup. There is a number for TVs, a nominal fee, but they will recycle it. So I think I always say that you want to shop smarter. If you reduce, reuse, recycle. When you go to the grocery store, for example, a deodorant used to come in a cardboard box and in shrink wrap. Nowadays on the shelf, it's just the deodorant because there was consumer demand for more environmental packaging. So when you're shopping, let your dollar speak about which products you want, and if you find that they're overly packaged, pick a competitor. It will make all the difference. 10% of your consumer dollar is for packaging. And when you get home and you unpackage it, you have 2 choices. You have the red cart and you have the green cart. So if you can be better at the store, you're going to have less to deal with at home. By 2020, which is not very far away, the last landfill in Massachusetts will close. and people are still buying from Amazon, and people are still, being materialistic, and you change your cell phone every 2 years, and the landfills are closing. So what are the options? And is it a rail truck to Pennsylvania? Is it a landfill out of state? Is it, incineration? So there's the industry is reinventing itself because nobody's opening new landfills. Try that in any neighborhood in Lowell. One, we don't have the space, but every neighborhood you put it in is going to say not in my backyard. So these are issues, these are real life issues and expensive issues. Yeah, we do have a 50-minute program for third grades. So if you're in the Lowell Public School and charter and ecumenical, we do them all, and you have a third grade, I'm happy to come down and we'll bring a bin and we'll bring stuff and we'll bring material and for the kids to recycle better at school, but bring it home and help the parents recycle better curbside. The solution is our website, lowellrecycle.org. There's a link for bulky items, so if it's a couch or a dresser or a mattress, you can see it on the menu, what the price is and which entity to call. Different days, Waste Management comes on Monday for this and Tuesday for that and Wednesday for that. It's best to go online, make an appointment, pay the nominal fee. That way it gets managed correctly. The website has a lot of information, lowellrecycle.org. And the solid waste hotline is at 674-4309, of course the 978 area code, 674-4309. We have people there during the day. If I'm out doing inspections, we'll go to voicemail, but we get back the same business day. So two excellent ways. The best is to get the app because we are pushing a lot of information through the app. The challenge is there are so many types of media, whether it's local cable or statewide channels, and in print. Where do you put your dollars? Is it in the daily paper? Is it in a special language weekly or monthly? Is it in the tax bill? So we're trying all the venues a little bit because we are limited in resources. So we'll try them all. But the best is to follow us on Facebook, Lowell Recycle, on Twitter, Lowell Recycle, and get our app. It's a free, works on both the Droid and the iPhone, called Lowell Recycle. Put in your address and you'll get our information.